A day to remember for the rest of your lives.
There's a great promise for all of you.
The Pro Football Hall of Fame and Extreme Networks present the Heart of a Hall of Famer program. With nearly 100 Hall of Famers participating, we have reached 48 states around this country, sharing the message that football is more than a game and can teach Americans how to huddle up during a time when we need to be united.
It's time for America to take a real deep dive. Not at no one else, but at yourself individually. If you want to change America, don't brush your teeth with your head down. Look at who you are and be the example. Be the example.
An opportunity to meet and learn from one of the greatest football players of all time. But more than that, the chance to see that their Hall of Fame life wasn't given to them. Single-parent homes, drug-infested neighborhoods, and poverty.
I grew up in a neighborhood that was considered one of the worst in America, and the household I grew up in was one of the worst in that neighborhood. By the time I was 20 years old, I knew at least 30 friends or family members who had lost their lives. Football became like a second parent to me. It taught me the things that my father wasn't there to teach me, and that my mother, as a struggling, single-parent woman, just didn't know to teach me.
But they learn how to live a life of character before pursuing their football careers. Today, you will learn you can do the same that they once did. Making good decisions can lead to a prosperous life both on and off the field. Your game for life has already begun. It's your decision whether or not you want to be a successful student, son, daughter, brother, or sister.
Every one of you can have a Hall of Fame life, whether or not you play football. You can be as great as you want to be. The Hall of Fame is all about integrity, character, and excellence. You have the opportunity to represent yourself that way. You determine your character.
Welcome to a once-in-a-lifetime program, the Heart of a Hall of Famer.
Wow. Well, it's too late. They can't take it back now. I'm here. I'm in. I also like to thank the fans for those days when I thought I had given my all and had nothing left to give. You may not believe this, but those days when I believed that I couldn't go on, I didn't have the strength to continue, you gave me the strength to play hard, practice hard, and to go out there and play 100% in every play. I also am so humbled by this incredible honor, which I never thought was possible. So thank you to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, everyone who played a part and elected me for making this small town kid dream come true. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, John Randle.
All right, we're going to go to our next question now. I'll go ahead and stand up, state your name, your school, and then ask your question.
My name is Zach, and what position did you like playing more, defensive end or defensive tackle, and why?
I like playing defensive tackle more than defensive end. As you watch football now, everybody keep running those bootlegs, and if you're a defensive end, that's your responsibility. And when you're playing a defensive tackle, you just kind of like a Tasmanian devil. You're just allowed to just attack. But I like playing that because you were inside, you were closer to the quarterback, and you had a better chance of getting easier sacks.
All right, next question. Go ahead and stand up, state your name, and then ask your question.
Hi, my name is Philip Singleton. I go to Glenville High School. My question is, when did you know you had to walk away from the game?
Oh, my God. That's an actually easy question. I knew I had to walk away from the game when we were in a meeting one day and my teammate and I were talking and watching film, and I said to him, I go, you know, if we spend as much time watching film, if we took that same initiative and did it with our wives and to know them that much more, wouldn't that be great? And the guy goes, why would I want to do that? And I said to myself, yeah, it's time for me to, I found another love of my life, and it's my wife, and been married for 20 years.
So, you know, you hear a lot about the transition out of the game. It's something you help players with today.
Yeah.
Was that transition tough for you? Or did you find something to kind of fill that void that football was?
I kind of had a void already. For me, after my third year of playing football, I went to a financial meeting for Merrill Lynch, and walked in the room, and I was the only person in the room. And for a lot of you guys, you're too young for this, but I walked in there and I'm asking this guy, I'm like, so how do I make money? And he goes, you got to save money. So what I started doing was I started doing autograph shows during the season and after the season. And by doing that, I started to get more personable with people, started meeting more people with companies and stuff, and I just kept doing that. And actually I kept doing it for like 12 years of my 14-year career. And I still do it today. And so for me, I wasn't living off the NFL money, I was living off the money I'm making from doing these shows. And so I was already kind of transitioning out. And so I really didn't miss the football part. The part I missed was probably just the camaraderie, but that helped me through it. And then I started playing this game called golf that really just, man, took it to another level. I mean, a lot of you guys don't play golf, but man, a lot of money in golf. But that just helped me through it.
All right, we're gonna go to our next question. Go ahead and stand up, state your name, your school, and then ask your question.
My name is Keyshawn Alford. I'm from Glenville High School. Your older brother ever played in the NFL as well. What advice did he give you while you was growing up?
Oh my God, my brother Irvin, probably one of the best advice he ever gave me was to always be humble and remember where we grew up at. My brother Irvin, who played 9 years, when he transitioned out, he went into like the car business, and now we're the #1 Chevy dealership in Oklahoma. But biggest thing he ever told me was be humble, was treat people with respect. And we talk at least 2 to 3 times a week. I just talked to him yesterday when I was driving in Minnesota in the snow, and he was laughing at me because he's down in Oklahoma and it's like 80 degrees. But yeah, that's probably one of the things that he's taught me, just to be humble. And I say he was my hero growing up, and he's my hero today.
How did those lessons that he taught you, or anybody taught you growing up, help you on the football field? And then after that transition, those same lessons, how did they help you, after you were done playing?
Oh God, well, probably one of the things he taught me was like when you were playing against somebody, it's just a game. So one of the things was just, I guess it's respect about you played against these guys, but you're friends. And so for me, I have thousands of friends. I'm constantly on the phone with guys because I'm calling one guy on a birthday, and I got 8 other guys on that same birthday. But those same things how I played and treated people, I do it today. Where I know my mailman, I know the guy at the gas station, the mail lady, I know her kid, her daughter who works for Delta Airlines. I have a lot of great relationships with people, and I try not to burn bridges with people.
All right, got a question here from Twitter. It's at DP4345. Asked, how important is it to serve and give back to your community, even as kids that are in here today?
Oh my God, it's so important because one of the things that I always believe is that you never know whose lives you're gonna touch. And I say that because there was a kid that was growing up around the corner from me, and I didn't know it at the time, but his name James Laurinaitis. So James, who played for Ohio State, was around the corner from me, and his dad, who was part of the Road Warriors. Yep, so I looked up to his dad, and now he's looking up to me. And the same thing is just, you never know whose lives you're gonna touch. my friend Steve Jordan, who played for the Vikings, his son, Cam Jordan, who I didn't realize was looking up to me. And to hear him say that he looked up to me, respected me, not just a football player, but as a person, that to me was just so, I just couldn't believe, couldn't think of any words to say, because I don't see myself as a football player or as a Hall of Famer. I just see myself as a dad, a hardworking dad who grew up in a blue-collar community, chopping cotton for $2 an hour, and I just keep going on in life.
All right, we're gonna go to our next question now. Go ahead and stand up, state your name, your school, then ask your question.
All right, my name's Tyon Farmer, and I go to Glenville High School. What offensive lineman gave you the hardest time trying to get past him?
Besides Randle McDaniel, who I dealt with in practice every day, there was a guy who's in the Hall of Fame named Larry Allen. He bench pressed 682 pounds, and I played against Larry at least once a year, and but I got my 100th sack against Larry Allen, against Larry and on Troy Aikman. But he's one of the most strongest men I ever seen, and he always had a little dip in his mouth, so when he smiled, it just kind of trickled down the side of his mouth, and it was kind of scary, but I couldn't let him know that. So I had some great battles against Larry Allen.
Today's game, it's changed a little bit since you've played. Is there a guy who plays in today's game that you see some of your same techniques?
Oh, sure. Aaron Donaldson. Aaron Donald, he's definitely the same style, using your hands, because it's so unique. When you use your hands, it changes the game up, makes the game a lot easier. Because when I was first in the league, guys were headbutting and running into guys, and when I came in using the hands and the taekwondo, just making the game easier, it slowed the game down and just changed the game. But as you start seeing it, a lot more players are starting to use the hand techniques, and if you want to play football and they keep telling you that you're too small, don't listen to them. You can play football at any size. Don't let anybody ever tell you that you can't do it. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't do it. Anything you set your mind to, you can do it.
All right, we'll take our next question then. Go ahead and stand up, state your name, school, and then ask your question.
I'm Brooke Weimer from North Canton Middle School, and my question is, besides being inducted into the Hall of Fame, what do you consider your greatest accomplishment and why?
Oh my God. My greatest accomplishment besides football, guys, probably my family. Growing up, not having my dad, I never really didn't realize how important it was not to have him there. But every day I drive my son to school, and so for me, that just to be bonding with my son it's just so cool, because we sit and we talk, and I never thought about it, but I'm sitting telling him all these stories about how I grew up, and he's just sitting over there just shaking his head, like laughing because he doesn't believe it. And but I say it's my family. Now we have these cool traditions. Thanksgiving, we get dressed up. Christmas, we get dressed up. And then the week before Christmas, we go to my mother-in-law's house, and we go over there, and it's like the Griswolds. Everybody just hanging out. And so it's really cool to make my home in Minnesota, who I always thought that I would always go back to Texas. But to realize that what this game has given me, the family, the friends, and the state of Minnesota, it's just wonderful.
You talk about, being a Hall of Famer. Can you take us back to the moment you found out that you were going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame?
Most guys, I guess when they get inducted, they're sitting by the phone. I wasn't. I was actually watching the Golf Channel. Now, my wife was in the other room listening to it, because I didn't think it was possible. I saw myself still as that free agent. So I'm watching the Golf Channel and thinking that I'm not going to get that phone call. But to finally get a phone call from the Hall of Fame NFL, it was just amazing. I'm like, because for growing up, when I first started playing football, you have to realize, when I got to the 9th grade, the little small town, I was kind of a weird kid, because the kids around me used to laugh at me because I had big hands and I got big feet. So I got teased a lot. I used to be called Bigfoot, here come Bigfoot, all this stuff. So when I got to high school, I started fitting in. And I found some people who were similar to me. And not to get that phone call for the draft, I'm like, okay, you're telling me that I don't belong with these guys, and I know I do, but to get that phone call was kind of like an acceptance to say, yeah, you do belong. You were correct about the decision that you made. And so getting that phone call was kind of like that. It was like being Cinderella, getting to go to the ball.
So you get the call, you become a Hall of Famer, you get the gold jacket, the ring, the bust, and it gives you a certain platform because you're a Hall of Famer now.
Yeah.
You've got those extra 8 or 9, 10 letters after your name.
Yeah.
What has been either like the coolest thing you've gotten to do, or a moment that you remember after becoming a Hall of Famer you got the opportunity to be a part of?
Oh, meet Michelle Norris. Nah, you know what? I tell you what, it's coming here to Canton, because it all kind of ties in to where, saying that I belonged, and saying that, because one of the things that they told me when I got inducted was, welcome to a team that you can't be cut, you can't be traded from. And I think for every football player, he wants to hear that, because you're playing and everybody telling you, well, you can be cut at any time, you can be traded at any time. There's no guarantees, there's no safety. And to hear that was very comforting. I mean, just knowing that now I can always come home and see other guys who played, and that we all have a home. And for a football player, that means a lot. Because, my mom passed and she's gone, and I always said, man, home, home is my house in Minnesota, but knowing that this here is my home, for me, is just one of the coolest things ever.
So the Hall of Fame just announced the final 25 that have a chance to become a Hall of Famer this year. If you had one message to send to those 25 guys who have the chance to get that gold jacket for 2020, what would your message to them be?
Oh, man, it would be stay positive. Matter of fact, I'm dealing with a guy, because of the legend community, Jim Marshall, who played for the Vikings. He's played 20 years, and he's been waiting for that phone call. And I told him, I said, you know what, Jim? I said, if you want, I'll sit in the room with you and wait for that phone call, because it's really important for those guys. And for Jim, he played 20 years, and he's just, to me, meant so much. He's one of the original Purple People Eaters. And when you hear people talk to him, and he's in a wheelchair, but when they start talking to him, it's almost as if he comes out of that wheelchair and he goes back to those days when he was playing. And so for me, it's just for the rest of those guys. I know some of them who are Steve Hutchinson, who's also on that list, who's one of my guys I used to go against, who's from Michigan. It's just tell them don't give up and keep fighting.
All right, we're going to go to our next student question here. Go ahead, stand up, state your name, your school, and ask your question.
I'm Madeline. I go to North Canton Middle School. And when you were struggling with your knee injury, how did you stay motivated and disciplined and continue fighting through that injury?
Oh my God, because I was in Seattle, and I felt like Seattle. I was in like London. I felt we were so far away from the United States. But we was out in Teeny, Washington, which is through the mountains up in Washington. I just stayed focused. Because when you're injured, you kind of put away from the rest of the team, so you're kind of by yourself. So I just kept focusing on trying to come back, just saying to myself that I'm a T1000, I will be back. So I just kept doing that, and I would do it every day. I even grew a beard at the time, because I just knew that I wouldn't finish playing football. And for me, I never really got injured. I had a high ankle sprain, but that was the first time I ever got injured. And I just stayed focused and never stopped believing.
Kind of along the same lines, we got a question here from Facebook. Going through those tough times, how important is it to have a support group or people around you to help you get through that adversity, those tough times?
It's very important, especially now football is, because when a guy is basically in the NFL, if a guy's not playing for a week or two, you've got people on all the different shows saying that this guy is done, his career is over, or this or that. And we've seen from like J.J. Watt, who's been injured multiple times, that you can come back. But it's good to have a group of people around you, because sometimes you start doubting yourself. And that group of people are just like your family. And I always say, when you don't have the confidence, you don't feel that support, go back to your family and where you get your support and believe that you can overcome it.
And then going back to Seattle, is that playing in that stadium as loud as they say it is?
Playing in that stadium in Seattle is it's weird. It's open top. It's a fun place to go play at, because you can go there in 1 week and it's sunny. The next week it's snowing. The next week is raining. But it's very loud. And I had the pleasure of being one of the guys who was one of the first guys to play in that stadium when it first opened up. And the place is unusual. Seattle, if you've ever been out there, a couple of college teams out there, they had valet parking at a college game. And I don't mean for cars, I mean boats. You could valet park your boats. And for old Texas boy, I'm like, you can valet park a boat? But it's unusual, but it's nice. And I have a lot of fun memories from being out in Seattle. That's where I learned to drink coffee, espressos, lattes, mochas. I learned all that out in Seattle. We didn't have that in Minnesota.
All right, we're going to have another student question here. Go ahead.
My name's Faith from the North Canton Middle School, and what would you rather have, your Hall of Fame ring of excellence or your Super Bowl ring?
Well, I don't have a Super Bowl ring, but if to have one...
Would you trade your Hall of Fame ring for one?
No way. Not for a Super Bowl. Super Bowls are cool and great for a year, but a Hall of Fame, because I'm number 258. So I know that by heart. I'm 258, and so I'd rather have that. And to me, that represents 258 Super Bowls. I'll take that over Super Bowl.
Every time. You played a majority of your career with the Vikings, and the Vikings-Packers rivalry is one of the best, if not the best, in the NFL. You always seem to have a great game against the Packers. Was there a reason for that? Was there extra motivation going to Lambeau or playing Green Bay in Minnesota?
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. So, Vikings, we don't like Packers, and Packers don't like Vikings. I don't know if you guys have any rivalries around here. I think you do with the other school.
Yep, McKinley, Massillon,
yeah.
Yep.
I've heard about that. So, yeah, for us, like in Minnesota, the Packers could be playing Chicago or somebody. And they would come to Minnesota and come in there and talk about playing the Vikings. And a lot of fans would have these little banners on their cars. And they talk a lot of smack. And so, our rivalries were huge. And so going to play in Green Bay, I'll put it to you this way. It's one thing to kick somebody's butt in your own backyard, but to kick their butt in their backyard, I don't know about the rest of you, but I like that. I like that, especially in Green Bay.
Well, so there's a little extra something to getting a sack against Brett Favre rather than any other quarterback in the NFL?
So, for one thing, I got audited like at least 6 years from Wisconsin, because when you play in another state, you have to pay taxes. So I got audited at least six times in Wisconsin. So I had a habit of writing on my check a couple improper words about the Pack. And I knew I was going to get audited again. But yeah, the rivalry is huge in Minnesota. In practice, we had a practice dummy where we put Brett Favre jersey on it, and we never changed it. We just left it as Brett Favre jersey. And we had a rug, a Green Bay Packer rug that we had in the bathroom that we just left it in there, never cleaned it, it just stayed in there.
Got a question coming from Facebook. They want to know what that green thing is there behind you on that table.
Oh, it's right here?
Yep.
This is you take this and this is for strengthening your hands up. So you can grab a quarterback with one hand, drag him. And so in meetings, when I was bored, besides reading about my opponent, I would just sit there and just squeeze this thing every day to strengthen my hands, which was given to me by a guy named Norm, who was from Russia. When I first got to the Vikings, he was our strength coach. And he was trying to tell me, take this, and he was like, ah, and I started using it, and I hadn't seen this thing in a long time.
So, you talk about strength coach, equipment guys. You always hear guys say that they're the most important staff members. They're the staff members that, players get the closest to. What is that relationship like, and how important are those positions to, and not any, just NFL team, but any organization?
Well, one of the reasons you get so close to the strength coach is because when you get injured or hurt and you still got to work out, he's the guy that you're working out with, and he's one who's trying to make, if you hurt say you sprain your wrist, he's the one who's setting up different equipment for you to try to get to work out with. And then when you're working out and you're injured, you're with him, man, it could be 5-6 hours a day. And so you get to be close with him. I remember when I got injured in Seattle, our strength coach was from Texas, so we used to sit and while we were running, sit and talk about Texas, talking about Bluebell ice cream to water burgers and stuff. And but they're so important because that time you spend with him, that's the time where he's one of your guys that you're confident you talk to about coming back, and he's telling you next week he'll be back. Or 2 weeks, you'll be back. I'm setting, I got it written down on this calendar. So those relationships are strong, and I still, personally myself, have a relationship with at least 4 of my different equipment guys or trainers that I still know.
All right, we got time for a few more questions. Go ahead, next student, stand up, state your name, your school, and then ask your question.
Hi sir, my name is Tuba Sandhu and I'm from Lehman Middle School. My question is, how much time and effort did you have to put in order to record 10 sacks for 8 consecutive years?
So one of the things I used to do, which a lot of guys really, some guys, I don't know if some guys do it now, but I had a file. So when I would play a game, after the game, I would run back into the locker room and write down the good things about my opponent and the bad things about my opponent. And so I used to have just tons of notebooks with guys' information on it. And so when I would play against somebody, I could reach back into my file and figure out what I was going to do against them. So for me, the training, and most of the training started right after the season was over with. Because you become a target. And your opponents know what you're thinking. So for me, a lot of guys knew what I was trying to get my sack numbers up. I was trying to surpass Reggie White's years of 10 seasons of 10 or more sacks. And so for me playing inside, it was harder, but I was up to the challenge.
All right, so we're winding down, and the way I like to, kind of wrap up every program is with the same question, because it's cool to hear, the different answers. You hear a lot of the same themes, but you do get some of the different answers. So we have a bunch of almost 300, 400 people in here today. We've got a bunch of people watching online. What would be one piece of advice you want, kids specifically, but everybody can take it away? What is one piece of advice you want to leave everybody watching with today?
Oh, God. Probably one of the things is that you don't, it doesn't matter where you grew up at. Life doesn't matter where you start at. It's about how you finish it. And I want everybody to take that, because, we all come from different parts of the country. And we believe that when someone says that you're from a small town, or you didn't have your mom, or you're staying with your aunt, or you're living with your brother or whatever, that you don't qualify to make it in this world. But to make it in this world, it takes hard work. It's gonna take some sacrifices, but you can achieve it. And, me and my brother, we're two people who defied the odds. He and I went back home one time and was looking up some of the people we grew up with. And it was guys who went to jail or this and that. And it was just astonishing that how tough we must have had it. Because, the house we grew up in is no longer there. And it's that little school that went to the 8th grade now goes to the 12th grade. And they tore our house down because our house was basically right in the backyard of that school. So for all of you, I want you to take back that don't listen to people trying to tell you that you can't make it. And even though you've dealt with some stuff, we always have this thing in football where when you had a bad play, you just take your hand and wipe the slate clean and start over. Because you can make it, but it's just gonna take a little hard work and some effort and the drive and determination. I just want you to take that.
All right, and with that, I'd like to thank you personally, for taking time out of your. I know this isn't the best weather you're coming to. Maybe a little warmer than Minnesota.
It's better than Minnesota.
But taking time out of your busy schedule to come to Canton, Ohio, your second home, talk to all our students. So from myself, our department, Michelle, all the way up to our president, David Baker, thank you for everything you do for us at the Hall of Fame and everything you do for the game of football. Now, before you guys leave today, we do have one more special guest. I'd like to introduce you, the GOAT. Goldie's here.
Hey!
Goldie's got some. So Goldie's gonna come up, say some hi. So everybody who's here today, thank you for coming, and we hope to see you one day here back at the Pro Football Hall of Fame.